Well, unfortunately for all of us, it appears that the EU is actually going to drop a big bombshell on all of us, which is going to kind of make all the Ramonas out there go, "I told you so," when in reality, the EU, well, they can kind of shove up their bums. But just what is that bombshell? Well, it all relates to the steel industry slapping a whopping 50% tariff on it, which could actually be a real kick in the teeth for Keir Starmer, especially, of course, since the sector has already been hit hard by US tariffs. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the EU are only doing this so Keir Starmer goes back with his begging bowl, even though, remember, we have already got a deal with the EU. And as such, there surely isn't actually any need to put any tariffs on it at all because we've got a deal with them. We may need to face some tariffs from the US because at the moment we haven't actually got a finished signed deal with them. But we have with the EU through Boris's government. Admittedly, yes, it was a reworked version of May's deal, which personally I think actually leaving completely altogether would have been way better, because we'd have actually negotiated from a better start point in my opinion. But apparently Brussels is planning to impose these massive tariffs on all steel imports from outside the EU, once they've hit a quota set way back in 2013. So the idea is apparently to keep cheap Asian steel from taking it over the EU market. But it could spell trouble for us, where a whopping 78% of steel exports head to the EU, which is where all the Ramonas will probably go on saying something in the comments like,
"Oh really? Well, I told you we should have never left. Oh, I hate the smug one."
Well, how shall we answer that? I think the word "suck it up, buttercup" comes to mind. But anyway, this all comes on the heels of US President Donald Trump's 25% tariffs on UK steel, on our steel rather, which have already put the industry under pressure with high energy costs and pricey shifts to greener processes and competition from cheaper imports. And whenever that word, the greener this or greener that, that is always unfortunately going to seem to cost us much more, isn't it? Something which, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that Ed Miliband just can't get his head around because it seems he won't shut up about it. But all this apparently follows the Prime Minister's attempt to sweeten the deal with the EU by making concessions on youth migration and fishing back in May, hoping to get closer ties, which, of course, this would be Keir Starmer's perfect excuse to do such a thing, wouldn't it? Even though, of course, as we have a deal with the EU, it wouldn't need to be done in the first place and is nothing but a threat, in my opinion. What are they all saying about it then? Well, apparently Gareth Stance from UK Steel is pretty worried about it. He's saying that these levies could actually wipe out our remaining steel companies and it might actually even lead to imports flooding UK markets if cut off from the EU. Why does everyone think the EU is this magical land? The world is so much more bigger than the EU. Hopefully with this deal with America and many other places, those things that we were going to export to the EU, we could instead export it to America or wherever else and kind of give the two-finger salute to the EU until they stop being bellends, it seems, eh? But he apparently, though, he called it the biggest crisis in UK steel industry has ever faced and urged the government to do everything possible to secure the UK's quotas with the EU to avoid a disaster. Who bets fishing will be one of the things we'll have to concede even more? I think it probably will be, but insiders are speculating that these EU tariffs could actually cause even more damage to the industry than Starmer's failure to secure a zero-tariff deal with the US. And one insider even said it would be Trump on steroids, and that is because apparently the current 25% tariff on UK steel entering the EU would need a weighted majority of member states and the European Parliament to back this change before it gets the green light. And of course, as Brexit has taught us, the EU kind of don't like to give us anything, it seems, at all. But Lisa Coulson from British Steel expressed deep concern about the reports from European Commission considering big cuts to steel safeguard quotas, and she warned that such moves could shut British producers out of their biggest export market, especially when they're already dealing with these 25% tariffs in the US. But just what has the government said about it? Well, apparently our brain box, if you want to call it that, of a government is planning to release its steel strategy later on this year. And with people like Keir Starmer, Rachel Reeves, Ed Miliband, and now David Lammy, doesn't that just fill you full of confidence? No fear, would be the worrying thing here, I think, because let's face it, I'm sure these guys couldn't actually organise a pee up in a brewery, could they, eh? But this strategy, which, as I said, they want to do later on this year, is apparently going to chart a course to the industry's future. But a spokesman for the government, they said they are working closely with the EU partners to understand the full details of these plans and their impact on UK businesses. They assured that the government is fully backing the British steel industry and protecting skilled jobs and supporting economic growth as part of their plan for change. They have committed up to £3.5 billion, no doubt adding to Rachel Reeves' black hole, to rebuild the industry and are exploring stronger trade measures to shield UK steel producers from unfair practices. Have you got any faith in the government to sort this mess out? Because to be honest, I don't think I have. And the only way that I think they can sort it out is by saying, well, fine, sod you EU, we'll sell it elsewhere. And I think something like that would require huge balls, which unfortunately I don't think he as Starmer has. Unless, of course, they're on his head, then I'm pretty sure he does have them, invisible ones, obviously. But it would take someone like, I don't know, Nigel Farage or maybe Rupert Lowe, actually, to turn around and tell them to sod off. And then just watch how quickly they would change their minds. But anyway, what do you all think about this? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll be back very soon with some more videos. So make sure you click that subscribe button down there so you don't miss my next one.